Ladies and gentlemen, dreamers and doers, seekers of purpose and fulfillment, welcome to Passion on Purpose, the podcast that sets your soul on fire and ignites the spark within you. I'm your host, Steph Hilfer, and I'm beyond thrilled you're here. Passion on Purpose features leaders, experts, and sometimes me on center stage. We put the spotlight on visionaries, entrepreneurs, leaders, experts, and everyday heroes to share their journey of self-discovery, enthusiasm, and unwavering determination. We'll explore how they use their passion and purpose to fuel their brand. Alongside our leaders, we'll provide practical tips, actionable advice, and wisdom from our experts across various fields. So if you're ready to unleash your inner fire, shake off the doubts and insecurities, and pursue a life of purpose with unbridled enthusiasm, then let's dive in. All right, guys, we are back with another episode of the Passion on Purpose podcast. I'm so excited to have our leader on the show today, Kristin Ostrander. And she is I didn't clarify this, but I'm going to assume she is the owner, founder, all of the things, Mommy Income. Am I correct?
Of course, yes.
Yes. Kristin, I'm so excited to have you on. We're going to dive right on in, and I'm going to ask you, what is your why?
The reason I do Mommy Income, the reason I started my business, I wanted to I was the mom creating income. I wanted to create some income for myself to stay at home. I had a couple little kids, and I'm like, I had to work. I had to be able to bring income into my household, and I wanted to do it from home on a flexible schedule. If I needed to work at nap time in the evenings or during the day, anything like that, that I could do something on my own terms from my own home and still be a good mom to my children. So that was the reason I created an income stream for myself.
Yeah. What inspired you to want? Are you a single mom or married? Because you said
no, I'm married.
Mom. Okay.
Yeah, so, my husband is in commercial construction, so his job in Michigan is like feast or famine. We have like half the year is winter, it seems. And so there's always either like 60, 80 hours a week or nothing. So there needed to be some supplement in there in the beginning, and I wanted to do something to do that, but also stay true to my values, which was really wanting to be around my children when they were in their younger years.
Yeah. How do those values come into play when it comes to your business? Like, do you have core values for Mommy Income, and what are they? And how do people feel those when they work with you?
Oh my gosh. So that's like 4 questions in one. So let me go one at a time. Yeah, the core value really is bringing an opportunity. We started with like aiming towards moms because I was the mom making the money, and I just figured that would be kind of the demographic that would come along with it. But it's been people from all walks of life, people that are really looking to start a legitimate business in e-commerce, which is what Mommy Income does. I teach people to start and grow businesses on Amazon using e-commerce and some other e-commerce platforms. But it's something that's flexible that you can do from home, that you don't have to be stuck in a rat race if you don't want to drive to and from work. And it's a different type of remote work, meaning you don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to have your own website. You don't have to have any of those things. You can really work with some of these other companies like eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, Etsy, things like that, to be able to sell products and goods without having to have a regular 9-to-5 job. And there's a lot of people that need flexibility for many reasons, whether they're single parents. I grew up in a single parent family, and this stuff wasn't available then. So it's a really good opportunity for people to start creating income for themselves on a more flexible level.
You said you grew up with a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
And how was that as an influence to you wanting to be a dual income and being, bringing in income and not being single? You have a different story and you want to see something different for your kids. How much of an influence did that single parent make on you?
So I grew up with a single dad, actually, which is very different. In the 1980s, it was actually very rare. So growing up with a single dad with 2 girls the story is so long, and we probably don't have to get into it now, but growing up with my dad, and he just was a single income. I had to become very frugal because money was just scarce. So there just wasn't a lot of it. He was a very simple person, and I realized very early on that if I wanted something, I had to work for it. My dad taught me work ethic. He said, do it right the first time, be thorough, be authentic, be honest. And so he taught me all of those things, but I knew from a very young age, if I wanted anything extra, that I was going to have to put the work in. And I realized realized young that it was worth it. And so at a young age, I would be extremely frugal with my money. My sister would take the $100 for school clothes and buy one outfit that was like the trendiest thing in the world. And I would be like, what can I get? I went to the thrift store and thought, how much can I get? Because I wanted like quantity. I wanted different, I loved clothes and shoes and things like that. So I thought, if I go to the thrift store, I can get so much more. And eventually into my adulthood, I turned that into my profession. My passion for being frugal and trying to get the most for my money actually turned into what is now my career.
So how did that play into Mommy Income? Like, how is that frugalness help? Like, tell me that. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I started Mommy Income because when I started selling on eBay and then eventually starting selling on Amazon, which is a whole different beast, I started learning from other people, and then I started talking about my experiences and just what I've been able to do, and started teaching. I had no idea there was a teacher inside. And so as I started to just talk in Facebook groups and things like that, people started asking, oh, well, how do you know what to find when you're out? Because now that there's technology, you can scan items. You can Google Lens and your scanner app, and you can just go on Amazon and say, hey, I'm at Target and this item's on clearance for $10. It sells for $50 on Amazon. And so I just started to show people some behind the scenes of like, hey, this is how I save money even on my own personal stuff. It's like looking for stuff that you already need and use, and then turning it into that business and eventually creating a training so that other people could just do exactly what I was doing.
Yeah. And so what does it look like to work with Mommy Income today? Is it one-on-one coaching? Are there group coachings? Are there downloads that teach the ways of Mommy Income? Or tell me about that.
Yeah. So as I have evolved, I now have come and landed on a specific business model for Amazon. There's all kinds of different ways to sell there, but I've created my own unique strategy there. So yeah, we have group coaching. We have a Facebook group. I have a podcast, a YouTube channel, and many courses and a membership group. So we have a whole thing. We're going on 9 years in Mommy Income this year. So we have a lot that I love. My passion really is being part of other people's success. To me, that's the most fulfilling thing that I do, is being able to guide and help people step by step, and then see those aha moments and see their breakthroughs and see them quit their day job and finally find the freedom that they're looking for. That is what lights me on fire. So that's what is all built into my training. I love to help people and solve problems and just find workarounds for every, there's always issues, there's always problems, and people can't always do everything step by step the way they want to. So I love creating workarounds and different things for success for people, because everybody's journey is different.
How has the journey from year 0 for Mommy Income gone from year 9? It sounds like you offer so much. So did you start with one flagship program or product, or what was the early years like for you?
Oh my. That was like that. That's a great question. I love it. I'm just like trying to put it in order here. I'm a firm believer in start where you are and use what you've got. You don't have to be light years ahead of somebody to teach them something. You only need to be the next step ahead of them to teach something. So I just went with it. I started with what I had and used what I had. At the time, there wasn't even like Zoom and like YouTube Live and all these streaming. It was really just, we did like one live stream podcast. And for a year, all I did was free live podcasts. I didn't have a program really. I didn't do coaching. I didn't do anything. I thought, let me test out this teaching and see if anyone's really interested. And if I, can have a few people coming in, then maybe I'll create a class or a program or coaching or things like that. And so I was consistent, showed up every Monday at 9 p.m. live stream for 1 hour every single week for a year. And month 11, I finally launched the class. After all the questions, I wrote every question down anyone ever asked me, and realized I can develop a training with all these questions. I'll just answer all these frequently asked questions. And it turned into a 2-hour training that then turned into more because people had more questions. And so I let my audience, their needs dictate what I created. I didn't sit here and go, I think I'll make this, or I think I'll make this. I was like, what do you guys need me to teach you? And so they told me all the things. Are like, we don't know about this, and we need to know about this, and can we pick your brain about this? And I just funneled all of that into trainings, and I'm still doing that today. My membership group is all what I call student led. I ask them, what experts do you want on here? What do you want to learn? What do you want to deep dive in? And they tell me, and I bring it to them. And that's why it's healthy and robust, because they really feel like their needs are being met, and it's not just a bunch of fluff that I hope they want. So I really have tuned into my audience.
I love that. So I asked earlier, and but like you said, I asked like 5 questions on one question. So I want to know, like, what values do you instill in your team, yourself, and the people who come to Mommy Income? Like, what particular value structure, brand values, or core values, or do you have for Mommy Income that inspire the people in your community?
Tough love,
Tough love.
honesty, and communication. Like, I am all about tough love. I tell them I'm a hug and a slug. Like, I'm going to hug you and love you and encourage you along the way, but I won't let you get away with your excuses and your procrastination. Like, I'm one of you, but this is how we move forward. And so one of the values I have is I don't have a lot of fluff. I'm get right to the point. I'm tough love. But it is really genuine love. I want to see people's success. And that's why I'm tough, because I don't want to, I fired several clients before. I mean, I know that sounds scary, but people have to be willing to do the work and put it in themselves. Even if they need hand holding, that's perfectly fine. We're all new at some point to something. And I totally respect beginners. And the reality is that if you're not going to do the work, it's not going to work for you. So I really am a tough love kind of person. I love to support any of those people. I feel like that attracts people that really come in and want to have the freedom of working for themselves. Not everybody thrives in a 9-to-5 structured environment. And so I just want the messaging to be out there that there's hope for earning a decent income from the comfort of your home for whatever reason you need to do that.
Yeah. Tough love, honesty, communication. So before we dive into honesty and communication, I love tough love because one thing that as an entrepreneur myself, as a self-diagnosed, possibly have ADHD human being, I'm constantly struggling with things all the time. And I think about, do I need a business coach? Do I need a life coach? Like, what do I need? And the fact that you spoke about, like, you need to be ready to like step up and do the thing and tough love. Like, I'll give you a hug, but I'm going to give you a slug to get you into line. Like, the word that was coming to my head for that was accountability. So whenever I look at potentially working with anyone, I always look at what sort of accountability do you offer and support? And not everyone does. Actually, very few people do. And I understand why, but I'm hearing that from you. So I kind of wanted to drill in a little deeper. And I wonder what that looks like in the Mommy Income community.
Absolutely. So that's funny that you said the accountability. That must be the word I've just been looking for. That's actually a chapter in my book. Accountability is everything. And I live and thrive on accountability. I'm one of those people that, like, if I pencil in the gym on my calendar, but I'm not meeting anyone there, or I don't have like a class I signed up for, the chances of me showing up are like 5%. But if I look at you, Steph, and I say, let's meet at the gym, 8 a.m. or going to the yoga class, I would never stand you up. Right. So that is me in a nutshell. And so I have sort of, I don't know, I want to say sprinkled that around. I don't let my people get away with those things. We have anchor moments. We're always talking in a group about what is your victory this week? What is your challenge this week? And quarterly, we have roundtables, and we have a start, continue conversation where we say, what are we going to stop doing? There's something you need to stop doing. So everybody comes to the table with, this is what I'm going to stop doing. This is what I'm going to start doing. And this is what I'm going to continue doing. So everyone has to have at least those 3 questions kind of on deck to be like, okay. And that forces you to look at your business. It forces the accountability. What's working? What's not working? What needs to work? So it's kind of like in that realm. And that's how we really try to hold each other accountable. And the people that show up and do the work have the most success. It's really the truth. So accountability is just absolutely huge. And I think most people really do well and succeed when there's some sort of gentle accountability in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So then you said honesty. So what does that look like for your community and for you?
In the influencer space, that gurus, teachers, trainers, online course creators, all the words that people call us, right? I don't know what they are, but there is a big, issue with people just trying to get rich quick and just teach you the thing and sell you a course and take all your money and run. Actually, have a lot of clients that have come to me from what I call those false teachers. So teachers that they have enough money to set up this big operation, take millions of dollars from people just by running ads, and then they run away and they don't teach, and they kind of drop this training that's very, vague on you and go, okay, bye. And by the time that anyone gets mad, they've moved on to teaching something else. This is going on in the internet space, and it breaks my heart. So when I say honesty, I've been ridiculed by marketers. I'm ridiculed by other people saying, I can't believe you say that out loud. But what I tell people is the truth. We work with Amazon, and as much as I love Amazon, and Amazon has been quote unquote paying my bills for 10 years or more, they still are a pain to work with, and there's a lot of problems. And so with that, I teach a lot of the truth. Yes, Amazon's a pain, but this is still the best e-commerce platform to make money. So we're going to work around them, and we're still going to work with them. And as long as we play on their playground and play by their rules, everything will be okay. And I've just had a lot of teachers say, you say too many negative things. It's almost like you're shooting yourself in the foot. I'm like, actually, I'm just being honest. So a lot of people don't want to tell you about the problems. And then when they have problems after they buy your course, you won't help them. So yeah. I'm all about helping people, and being honest is really important to me. It's honest with my staff. Just like, if there's an issue, if there's a problem, let's talk about it. The truth will set you free. And I honestly believe that. So that's how I try to operate.
Yeah, I think honesty also comes down to just clear expectations, right? If you paint this picture that it's going to be an easy breezy, beautiful world with mommy income, it'll be smooth. You just listen to what I say. You're painting this expectation that clearly, from what you're saying, isn't true. And so that's going to create there's this expectation that won't be met, right? And instead, just put it all out there and just be real and honest, and put, the real honest expectations out there for people. That's awesome. Absolutely. And I love that you point out some of those things happening in the community. I'm not a coach, but I'm definitely immersed in the entrepreneurial service-oriented world, and I do see a lot of that. And so it is refreshing to have somebody just call it as it is. And not only this is what I do, but literally this is what you're going to experience.
And also that I can help you along the way. I've had all the bumps. It's like, this is a roller coaster, but if you're on for the ride, I can help you and take you along. It's just yeah, the expectations are huge. You need to be upfront about what to expect, what not to expect, and that Amazon is going to change their mind tomorrow and the next day, and we're just going to flow with it. There's always a rhyme and a reason eventually.
Yeah, anything in any industry, there is always change. And if we expect, once we finally figure it out and we got our SOPs all locked and loaded and we're like this, then it's change. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's just being honest with yourself and transparent and going with the flow. So I love that. And then you said your third value was communication. Tell me about that.
I love to communicate, not over, not under, but like direct. I've been one of those people like skim emails unless it's like something that's so grabbing that I have to lean into a story or something. But most people aren't telling a lot of stories in emails anymore. They're really just marketing and throwing some stuff out there and buy this and buy that. And so I feel like clear and concise information that people really want to know. I don't want to over pepper them with all just too much everywhere. So I feel like communication with my audience is important. What's new, what's fresh, things that they need to know, people they need to know, software they need to know about, just because all those things help them. But also communication with staff, with yourself. You have to be able to communicate with yourself and always re-up. Hey, what am I doing here? What is my passion? What do I want? And why am I still showing up? And so that constant communication really brings a flow of changing and pivoting when you need to. And I think that's really important in any entrepreneurial business.
I agree. And my head is, I want to hear and obviously with all respect to whomever you pick, so you don't have to tell names or anything, but I want to hear one of your heart-wrenching stories of somebody you've worked with, like a mommy that just tells the impact that you make. Tell their story. What comes to mind with that?
Can you clarify your question? Like, it's someone that I've had an impact on that then they've shared with me?
One of the mommies you've helped create income.
Okay, so one of my favorite stories is actually of a friend of mine who was doing some reselling online, but she had one child who it took about 15 years for them to be able to get to it. He was adopted. It's the only child that they had. They weren't able to conceive, and so they adopted a child. And as he was growing up, they were a double income family. She had a job that she actually really liked, but she was commuting an hour and a half both ways. She was working a very demanding job. And by the time she was getting home, 6:30 at night, her son, she'd see him for about an hour, he'd go to bed, and then it was all over again. It was like just the morning rush. And she's like, I didn't become a parent and try to become a parent all this time just so I could be this much away from him. She's like, it's just, life is too short. What am I going to do? And she had a very good, high paying job. And so it was a decision that she made after a year or so of really trying and doing it. And she had already been doing it a little bit. She saw the potential. And her quit day, I think, was probably one of my favorite days. And even though she has actually moved on from this and done other things in e-commerce now, she's more of a designer and doing other things. I just love her story because her reason was also not always financial. It was a lot more of, she had a husband who also had a decent job. So she really didn't have to even work, but she still wanted to and wanted to contribute because that's just who she was. She's a worker. So she's like, I can't just do nothing. I'm not going to be a housewife and just stay at home and do nothing. I have to work and I want to do something else that I like. So she got into the e-commerce. And then since then, she's been able to spend so much more time with her son and get him into different programs, be able to drive him places instead of spending 60 hours a week working for someone else. And so I just love that story and love being able to be part of someone else's success, or even just getting out of something that they never would have got out of if they weren't kind of pushed and challenged to say, hey, you don't have to live like this. There are other options.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a beautiful story. Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't clear on what I was looking for, but that's exactly what I was looking for. Well,
great.
I love what you're doing. I see so much passion and intentionality behind what you're doing. I want to make sure that the listeners have a really clear idea of what it is that you do, who it's for, and what the easiest way to get started with you is.
Sure. So again, mommyincome.com. I teach people to start and grow businesses online with e-commerce. So selling products in different places, specifically with Amazon. That's my level of expertise there. The best and who I serve is anyone looking for to start a business or to convert their business. If you have a product already and you want to bring it to Amazon, you should. It's the biggest platform ever. So everywhere you go, Mommy Income is where you find me. So at Mommy Income are all the social handles. mommyincome.com is where you're going to find that. And if you're interested in learning a deep dive into more of what we do have a free training on the website at mommyincome.com. So make sure you look at that free training and just subscribe, and you can get the free training there and learn a little bit more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for what you're doing for, it sounds like, not just mommies, but anyone in the world who's looking to make some extra dough. I think it's a beautiful cause. And thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
All right, guys, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Passion on Purpose podcast. I truly hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. So if you did, please rate, review, and share. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, whether a leader or an expert, please go to getVim.com/podcast and you will find our application page, or reach out to me directly and I can give you more information.